Welcome to this explainer on how money controls your mind without you knowing. Okay, so we usually think of money as, just paper, maybe some metal, or mostly just digits on a screen, right? Just a simple, completely neutral tool that we use to navigate our everyday lives. But what if it's actually the exact opposite? What if it's the other way around? Today, we're totally flipping the script. We're going to explore the completely unseen forces that are actually dictating our spending. We'll break down exactly how your mind reacts to financial stimuli in ways that are honestly completely invisible to you.
So who is really spending your money? I know, it sounds kind of absurd on the surface. When you're swiping your credit card for groceries, or let's be real, clicking buy now on some random midnight impulse purchase, you feel like the sole decision maker. You feel 100% in control of your own wallet. But if our minds are constantly being steered by these hidden psychological mechanisms, we really have to stop and ask ourselves, who is actually in the driver's seat during those financial transactions? Section 1. The illusion of control. Now, this perfectly illustrates the core conflict going on inside your brain literally every single day. On one side, you've got your conscious financial choices. This is that pristine, color-coded spreadsheet you make. It's the strict budget you plan out, the super rational weighing of pros and cons before you buy a new car. But then, resting heavily on the other side is hidden psychological influence. The truth is, our financial choices are rarely the result of pure, cold spreadsheet logic. Instead, they're heavily skewed by these invisible weights we don't even realize are actually there. And that brings us to a crucial point captured in 3 very simple words: without you knowing. Seriously, the entire phenomenon of financial psychology completely hinges on this invisibility. Think about it. If this manipulation was loud and obvious, you'd spot it and shut it down immediately, right? But instead, it just runs quietly in the background. It's exactly like a silent operating system on your smartphone. You don't see the underlying code, but it absolutely dictates how the whole machine behaves. Your mind is being subtly steered, and you are kept completely in the dark about the fact that you're being steered in the first place. Moving on to Section 2, hidden psychological tricks. So what's really fascinating here is just how deeply ingrained this all is in our actual biology. A psychological trick is basically a hidden mental mechanism that unconsciously manipulates exactly how you perceive and interact with money. We're not talking about some sketchy scam being run by hackers here. We're talking about natural vulnerabilities built directly into human cognition. Take, for example, something like anchoring. When you see this drastically inflated original price crossed out right next to a sale price? It makes you feel like you're saving a ton of money, even if you're actually completely overspending. Your brain is just inherently wired to perceive that contrast as a massive reward, which ends up manipulating your behavior totally without your permission. Which brings us to an incredibly vital takeaway. You need to learn the hidden psychological tricks that influence your financial decisions. Look, this isn't just about understanding some dry, abstract theory. This is about empowerment. The absolute key to shifting that power dynamic back in your favor is to actively dissect these tricks. The very moment you drag an unconscious habit out into the light, like, say, realizing you're only signing up for that subscription because of a fake ticking countdown timer, the trick immediately loses all its power over you. Poof, gone. Which leads right into Section 3, your financial decisions. Okay, let's map out how this actually builds across a real-world timeline. This is basically the pipeline of how manipulation works out in the wild. So, step 1, a hidden psychological trick gets triggered. Let's say you're on an online store and it flashes this giant red banner screaming, "Only 2 items left in stock," right? Then, step 2, your mind is controlled without your knowledge. Suddenly, that logical, pre-planned budget we talked about earlier, it is completely overridden by a totally manufactured sense of scarcity and urgency. And finally, step 3, a financial decision is made under this influence. You buy the item. And the crazy part, you fully believe it was your own rational choice, completely blind to the trap you just stepped into. So is your next purchase really your choice? Now that you're armed with the knowledge that these invisible operating systems are constantly running in the background of your mind, you really have to wonder. Seriously, the next time you reach for your wallet or your phone to double-click pay, just take a second to pause. Ask yourself, am I acting on conscious logic right now, or am I just playing out the final step of a hidden psychological trick? Food for thought.